Dr. Tan Wu Ming.
Mr. Speaker, sir, an estate agency agreement is a contract between a consumer and a property agency and agent for the performance of estate agency work. The agreement protects the interests of both parties by providing contractual clarity in the property transaction. Under the Council for Estate Agencies, or CEA's, Code of Ethics and Professional Client Care, a property agent must explain the meaning and consequences of the agreement to the client and give the client sufficient time to read and understand the content so that the client can make an informed decision whether to enter into the agreement with the agent. Property agents who fail to do so may be issued a warning letter, imposed with financial penalties of up to $100,000, and or have their registration suspended or revoked. There is no specific requirement for a property agent to advise the client on the options between an exclusive and a non-exclusive agreement. In addition, CEA actively promotes consumer education. CEA continues to work with relevant agencies, example, the HDB and CASE, and the real estate agency sector and online property portals to educate property consumers about the purpose of signing an estate agency agreement, the differences between an exclusive and a non-exclusive agreement, and consumers' obligations under each type of agreement. Consumers are advised to choose and sign a type of estate agency agreement based on their needs and preferences.
Dr. Tan.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Minister for his answer. My Clementi resident told me that she signed an exclusive agreement with an estate agent, but she wasn't told about the option of other types of agreements, including non-exclusive agreements. Sir, can I ask the Minister two supplementary questions? Firstly, I note the Minister mentioned the phrase, it's a contract between a consumer and an agent. First, can I ask Minister if MND has studied best practices from other ministries? For example, under the Consumer Protection Fair Trading Act, the second schedule, Part 1, Item 23, mentions omitting a material fact might be considered an unfair practice. So can Minister tell us, is the option of a non-exclusive agreement a material fact when a customer is going to sign an exclusive agreement? Secondly, can I also ask the Minister to elaborate on how MND sees the fiduciary duty of estate agents regarding sellers? Does it include some measure of requirement for informed consent when signing an exclusive contract, especially for first-time sellers who are not experienced and may require additional support and clarification? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member for the two supplementary questions. Let me take them in turn. Let me first clarify that the use of the estate agency agreement is not mandatory. Consumers are encouraged to sign the agreement with their property agencies and agents to protect the interests of both parties, but it's not mandatory. In fact, many property sellers and buyers actually do it DIY and not actually appoint an agent. And to Dr. Tan's question around the best practices and informed consent, indeed, CEA takes its responsibility seriously about upholding the professional standards in the real estate agency industry and its primary responsibility of safeguarding consumers' interests. And that is why I mentioned in my reply earlier that the estate agent or the real estate salesperson in a technical term is expected and required to explain the content of the agreement to the consumer or the buyer or seller before the agreement is signed. And a breach of that can be investigated and penalties can be imposed against the real estate agent. On consumer awareness, I think I mentioned it earlier, but maybe allow me to elaborate. And maybe first set in context Dr. Tan's case from this resident. I appreciate and empathize where Dr. Tan is coming from, but in context, complaints against real estate salesperson on the use of an exclusive or non-exclusive agreement, actually very, very few that we've received. Less than 1% of all the cases we received over the last 5 years. So very few complaints against real estate salesperson on this particular point. There are other complaints and more egregious ones about conflict of interest or inappropriate handling of the client's money, which are important other considerations that we have in investigating against real estate salesperson. And I encourage all consumers, to Dr. Tan's point, financial investment in a property or buying and selling property is a big financial investment for many families. Please do take time to look at the various resources on CA's website. They have a very comprehensive guide in 4 languages, guiding the consumers on deciding if you need an agent, how to ensure the agent is properly registered with CA, how to negotiate agents' commissions, how to look at the various agreements, including what agreements needs to be signed between the real estate salesperson and yourself, and understanding the agent's responsibilities and obligations, and how money is to be handled. So I encourage those who are buying or selling properties, especially those doing it for the first time, please do go to CA's website and check out the different resources.